Hey everybody, welcome back to Great Lakes Junction.
So I tried the scone recipe last week and I absolutely loved it. I made a couple of changes to it, but I really wanted to share it with you. It is so good. So all I have here is 3 cups of flour, and I have 1/3 cup of butter plus a tablespoon. Works out to about 75 grams. And I will put the recipe down below in the description for you so you have it. So we're just going to mix this butter in, and I've shredded it so it's a little bit easier to incorporate. You want it kind of crumbly. So I have 6 teaspoons of baking powder. I have a 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. It calls for a teaspoon of salt. I'm only putting 1/2 teaspoon in because I have salted butter. Calls for 3 tablespoons of fresh parsley. I've got 1 tablespoon of dried, and I have a 1/2 teaspoon of dried chives. You could put a whole teaspoon of fresh if you had them handy. No, I can't wait until the garden gets going, so we have some fresh herbs that we can go out and pick them and just throw them in. Now, we're going to add, if you want, you could add this to your food processor and mix it up that way. I'm just going to get my hands in there quick and make sure that that butter is broke up enough that it's going to mix through good enough. It's already in pretty small chunks, and you just want it kind of crumbly. Those big pieces of butter will help you get lots of layers in your scones and lightens them up a bit. Let me wash my hands quick. This is such a quick and easy recipe too, but they're so good. So now we've got that done. I'm adding in 5 strips of bacon that I've cooked earlier. And we're just going to make sure that it's coated with the flour so it gets mixed through. And I have 1 large onion that I've sweated down and caramelized a bit. We're just going to throw that in there. And we'll get that mixed through. And I like keeping my butter in the fridge or the freezer. After I grate it up, I put it back in the fridge or freezer while I'm getting everything else ready. Keeps it cold, and it's easier to mix that way, then your hands don't melt it when you're mixing it. And then last ingredient is our cheese, and I've put that in the fridge as well, and it is 1 cup of cheese. And we're just going to mix that through. Oops, throwing it all over the counter. So we're going to make a well with that. And we're going to add 1 1/4 cups of milk. You want a fairly dry mix, but if you find it too dry, just add another tablespoon or 2 of milk until you get a really good consistency that you like. You don't want to overmix this either. They will become very tough. So just mix it enough and then get your hands in there. Now, I have some flour. We're going to flour our counter here and continue on with it on the counter. Now, what I do, because it is pretty much mixed up, I just fold it over on itself, and this is what creates the layers. There. Now I'm just going to wash my hands, and I'm going to get a rolling pin, and we will roll this out and get in the oven. So you want, and you're baking along, set your oven at 400 and let that preheat. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got my rolling pin, and I'm just going to dust it. Now you can make this into a circle and just cut it into a pie shape. I'm going to cut this out into a square shape. I have a square glass here, so I'm just going to use it. Now you can do this 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, however big you want them. Obviously, the thinner they are, the more you're going to get. But I do them about 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. They're quite large when they bake up because they do rise, but they are so good. And we're just going to cut these up and get them in the oven. Now, if you want, you can do a milk wash so they don't brown quite as much on the top, if you want. If you don't want to, don't worry about it. Experiment with the recipe and see how you like it. And this recipe, you can change your add-ins. Sorry, I just banged my camera. Sorry, you're shaking now probably. And this does anywhere from, depending, like I said, on how big your scones are, or how big around you're cutting them. That's how many you get. So I'm just going to continue on cutting these out, and we'll be back. Okay, so we've got 12 out of that. And again, these are about 1/2 inch thick. You can make them thicker or thinner. Just watch your time when you're baking them. Anywhere from 12 to 18 minutes, depending on the thickness. They're all done and looking absolutely delicious. I'm going to let them cool off for a few minutes on the pan, and then I'm going to put them on the actual cooling rack and let them cool for 20 minutes, if they last that long on there. Everybody's standing here waiting to grab one. Okay, they are all done. They're cooled off while they're still warm, but oh my gosh, it smells so good in here. The onion and the cheese and the bacon all the way through it. So yummy, with a little bit of butter on them. Oh, I can't wait to dig in. So I will leave that recipe for you in the description below. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you give it a try, let me know. Let me know how you like it. Until next time, stay safe.